Okay, well, I've just been heat treating a few items. First of all, I finally got around to heat treating the hammer eye punch. So that's nice and hard on the end there, reasonably soft on this end. So I let the colour, heated it up from this end, let the colour run through, and then quenched it when it got to the right colour at that end. So this end should be pretty soft. That's medium, and that's hard. So did that. I heat treated, hardened my bolster, which I hadn't done before. I'm going to get in there and give that a bit of a clean with the grinder just to make sure I haven't got any of that slight bit of scale on there. Put it on the wire wheel, but it really needs a bit of a beautiful smooth up on the grinder. I'll leave the rest of it black, but have this section of it nice and smooth. So I did that, and I did that, and I did a chisel, which I've walked away from. I heat treated this chisel. This is a second-hand chisel that I bought, which had a terrible edge on it. It was pretty well round, so put a good sharp edge on it. I don't know if you can see the profile of that edge or not, but pretty good profile edge. I think it's probably got a 90-degree angle on it with the two sides, and then hardened and treated that. So that was another tool that I got treated today, and then I decided I would use some of this scrap material. I've got another project on the go, which video for that will be downloaded later, and for the purposes of that project I went to the scrap metal yard and picked myself up some 16mm Hardox plate, good work hardening steel they use for making excavator buckets and so on and so forth. And in that process I've managed to get myself a few of these offcuts. So what I thought I'd do is use some of this. So I took a piece that was very similar to this, a little bit thinner, and I forged it down to a taper and put a punch point on the end, and then I drilled an 8mm hole into it, not out the other side, but drilled a hole into it so it was hammered on there nice and hard. And then I took a piece of this mild steel for a handle, and I forged it out to have a 8mm pin that would go into the hole. It was a little bit more, but I hammered it in so it was nice and hard. Then I welded it on with a MIG welder and ground it down so it looks reasonably smooth. And then I forged out this handle, put a little flat spot on the end there with my touch mark in it, and a little scroll, curled up the end, and then curled it back on itself so that I could hang it on a hook. And I also put this flat section through here so it's nice and easy to hold and get nice and flat in your hand. So that kind of sits up against there, thumb against the flat, and nice. And that's just another piece of the offcut of the Hardox, cut off with the oxy, so I've got plans for more tools out of that. Yeah, so nice and easy to hold. So as an example of its hardness, let's just get a bit of plate steel. So say I want to put a mark on that line there, I can then see it, and as you can see, puts a lovely little mark on it with a little tap, even witness mark on the back there. But I'm not sure if that's too close, too far away, too shiny or not, but you can see that it put quite a decent hole in there. And being Hardox, it's work hardening steel, pretty hard there, so it's very handy to be able to just see your line Put another spot on there. Bit rough that one, missed, but that's just laziness. But yeah, you can see your line there. I'll try that again. Put him on the line. So I think that turned out good. That'll be my nice little handy punch, rather than pulling out these little things that's too hard when you get your hand in here and end up hitting yourself because you're holding onto something that's only this long. Much prefer that. Okay, just thought I'd update that little tool.